Broadcasting from the ARN Racing Studios in Southern California, ARN Los Angeles. This is ARN, the American Racing Network.
Matt Kenseth is now to go. Jeff Johnson looks held low. Bush up high. Here they come.
Gentlemen, start your engine! It is Monday, June 9th, 2014. Coming up today on the Pit Pass, Carl Edwards dropping some hints about where he'll end up in 2015. It might be a Ford, but Roger Penske says it might not be. Plus, reports that Greg Biffle has already re-signed with Jack Roush. Dale Earnhardt Jr. getting his very first win in Pocono, second of 2014. Plus, Casey Kane is mad at Kyle Busch. Danica Patrick heading to Formula One. Coming up on the Pit Pass.
Get ready.
Stay ready.
Wrap in. And hold on.
Stay ready. Stay ready.
We're getting the green. Starting right
Ready.
now.
How we need to do it, boys. That was awesome. Yeah, we were either going to get them or we were going to wreck. 4 times, a little upset. Dude, I left the room. What the hell? Pisses me off so much. You have no idea. That was a bull. You never quit. This is how you're going to win a championship. You never quit. Therefore, we're going to keep scratching off that bucket list for you, buddy. Stay in it. Wide open. Come on. Come on, baby. How about that, boys? You're awesome.
This is the Pit Pass, your personal pass to everything NASCAR. Live from the Pit Pass Racing Studios in Southern California. Here's your host, Alan Bailey.
Welcome on into the Pit Pass, your personal pass for everything NASCAR, right here on ARN, the Motorsports Authority. You can reach me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the Alan Bailey. Use the hashtag ARNRace to get in on this conversation. And Junior Nation, I can hear you loud and clear. Welcome to the winner's circle for the first time with multiple wins in a single season in 10 years. Dale Earnhardt Jr. going to victory lane on Sunday, yesterday, out in Pocono, Pennsylvania, winning at the Pocono Raceway. Oh yeah, first ever out at that racetrack. Not the first for Steve Letarte, but oh, it might be the last, and it was so sweet for Steve Letarte and everyone on the number 88 team. And yes, Junior Nation, I can hear you loud and clear, very loudly and very clear. Welcome on back to the winner's circle. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start with today's Hot Topics, brought to you by our friends at Apollo Aesthetics. We start not with Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s win, but this silly season news. Friday at the Pocono Raceway, the lame duck driver Carl Edwards didn't really shed any new light on whether he'd be back for an 11th season in 2015 with Jack Roush, but he was talking about moving to Ford and staying with Ford and focusing on Ford's future. That contradicted reports that, yes, another one of those Ford team owners, I'm talking about Roger Penske, also talked to the media saying, no, he has no interest in Carl Edwards. Penske was at the Texas Motor Speedway for the NASCAR IndyCar doubleheader, and he said there's no interest, we don't have a sponsor for a third car, and he's under contract with Roush Fenway Racing. It doesn't make sense. Edwards does not want to talk about his 2015 plans, but it also did add fuel to the fire that Greg Biffle might stay with Roush? Yeah, reports according to the Charlotte Observer that Greg Biffle and sponsor 3M will be at Roush Fenway Racing in 2015 and beyond. Being told that they are still working on the final details of their contract and an official announcement could be made as early as this week or next week. Keep my ear to the ground on this one. Also, heard from Turner Scott Motorsports today that yes, veteran road course ringer Justin Marks will be behind the wheel of the number 31 Soul Republic Chevy in the 2 NASCAR Nationwide Series races at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in Mansfield, Ohio this season. He'll drive that number 31 Turner Scott car, while Dylan Kwasniewski, who normally drives that car, will drive the car vacated by the 42 and Kyle Larson. And yes, Dale Earnhardt Jr. getting the victory in Pocono over the weekend. Congratulations to him. Danica Patrick rumored to be heading over to Formula One with Gene Haas in a few seasons whenever he decides to head on over. Also, Matt Crafton picking up the win in the Truck Series over the weekend out in Texas. This update brought to you by our friends at Apollo Aesthetics. If you're looking for a brand new website, go ahead and log on to apolloaesthetics.com right now to request a quote to build your brand new website, set up your social media accounts, your email addresses. Heck, they can even help you with your P.O. box, your web hosting, and a whole lot more. That's Apollo Aesthetics and apolloaesthetics.com. Lots of interesting stuff to talk about, whether it's Dale Earnhardt Jr. And Junior Nation imploding with everything that's happened with Junior Nation, whether it's the fact that the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, a race that is in the chase, had a number of seats removed from the Speedway, but they're giving probably the most awkward lame duck excuse ever for it. It's not that, oh, well, we want to keep up with the economy. It's not, well, we can't sell tickets because our racetrack's flat, dull, boring, and we have a chase race for some reason, NASCAR, even though it should be. No, it's that, well, we want to have a party deck, and we need to put it somewhere, and we'll just remove these seats to put the party deck here. You're right, because the seats only cover about, what, 1/3 of the total distance around that racetrack? You're right, the other 2/3 of distance around the entire racetrack, there's no room whatsoever, even though you're dealing with hills and green shrubbery and campgrounds. You're right, you should remove your paying seats and how you make your money in order to put in a party deck for fans to go get drunk on, because that makes perfect sense from a business standpoint. Way to go, New Hampshire Motor Speedway. I salute you. Bruton, seriously, what the heck were you thinking on that one? Oh, we needed to remove these seats in order to make room for this party deck. That's the lamest excuse I've ever heard. At least the Auto Club Speedway, God love them, actually came out and said, well, we removed them to basically stay competitive. At least they said it. They had a sellout last time they were here. Granted, it wasn't, 100% because, yes, they removed those seats. But still, the Auto Club Speedway can beat their chest going, we had a sellout, New Hampshire. We know what we're doing. And, yeah, they actually had the cojones to stand up and say, yeah, we removed those seats because we couldn't stay competitive in the market because we're in a very hard market to sell. Unlike New Hampshire, the Auto Club Speedway actually puts on a phenomenal show on the racetrack. Some of the best racing of the last 3 seasons has come on the Auto Club Speedway. But you look at New Hampshire, it's essentially what we saw in Pocono this last weekend. One giant snooze fest. Was the common theme of Sunday's race. Yes, it got interesting during that last fuel run, but it wasn't because, oh, Dale Earnhardt Jr. got a run. It was because the guy who was leading got a piece of trash on the nose of his car, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. took advantage. I'm not saying that Jr. didn't deserve the win. He clearly did because his team was the best right there at the end, but Brad Keselowski, he had the best car on Sunday. Even Dale Earnhardt Jr. said that. So, Junior Nation, don't get on my case saying, oh, Junior deserved that win. Junior knew what he was doing. Junior. No, relax, okay? I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying that other cars were better. Sorry, sue me. Okay, there's a lot more, there's a lot of other things happening in the garage area besides the Junior, but we'll get to Junior, don't you worry. Lots of other stuff we got to talk about. The thing that is just, it got on my nerves. Like, I stayed away from Twitter for the sake of just adding fuel to the fire, but trust me, I was on Twitter. I saw them. I saw the tweets. I was hearing it loud and clear. TNT sucks. OMG. Seriously. I mean, I love the people who work on the broadcast. I really, truly do. There's a reason they only get 6 races a year. There's a reason that they're in the quote-unquote most boringest part of the season, quote-unquote, and there's a reason they're not covering races in 2015 and beyond. It's because they suck. They're horrible. OMG, seriously. You look at it, you got guys like Kyle Petty. Kyle, I gotta say, watch the race live. Stop watching the monitor that has a 10 to 15 second delay. Jeez. He's going, well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. might be coming down pit road. Meanwhile, Junior's already in his pit stall, and there he goes. And Kyle's going, well, it'd be interesting to see if oh, wait, Junior's on pit road. No, he's not. He's already gone. Get your facts straight. Wow. I was seriously baffled by the lack of professionalism and quality in that broadcast. It was horrible. I haven't seen a race that horribly called in years. Jeez. And yes, in their defense, we're coming from Fox, who have had the same technical directors off mic behind the scenes running the show, and the same 3 guys in the booth calling the races for the better part of 13, 14 seasons, whatever it's been now. Their chemistry's there. They know what they're doing. They're very well practiced. They're very well seasoned. To the guys at TNT who have been doing it for all of 3 seasons now with the same people, and all of 2 seasons with the same 3 dudes in the broadcast booth. The chemistry is really, really not there, and when you're doing 6 races a season, it pretty much will never be there. I'm not saying that they don't have the potential, because all 3 of them are extraordinarily professional gentlemen. They know the sport. They just don't know how to call a race together. They really don't. It was the most awkward, horrible thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Not just as a NASCAR fan, but as a professional broadcaster, I was mortified for them. I truly, truly felt bad for everybody at TNT for the flack that they got on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. The memes are just brutal. They're just so brutal. But at the same time, they're to be expected. Because when you put on a product that horrible, people are going to notice and people are going to get annoyed. I frankly had to mute it multiple times. There's just so many little things about that broadcast that was just horrendously bad. The fact that this was Pocono was kind of forgivable, because Pocono, no offense, doesn't have a lot going on. It's the most boring race that we'll see in 2014, probably for the next few years, to be perfectly honest. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have the quality covers that Fox, NBC, ESPN, all these other networks have built, and it's very much not at the quality that we as NASCAR fans have built to expect, and it's frankly very disgusting. It's just not cool. Like, there's no other way to put it. It was horrible. It was horrendous. Just ugh. I mean, I very much, the whole time I'm sitting there, I usually take notes for the race, and I'm sitting there taking my notes for this race, for this show the day after, and I'm sitting there going, oh my God, can I talk about anything else? Is there going to be anything else to talk about? I was sitting there going, someone crash, drama, something, come on. Somebody cool better win this race. Somebody who's going to bring up a storm. Somebody who's going to really cause a riot. Something. Ugh. I was sitting there rolling my eyes, just waiting for something to happen. In that second half of the race, it happened. Dale Earnhardt Jr. wins. You had the crash with Kyle Busch and Casey Kane, which seems to cause a lot of drama, surprisingly. A lot of drama, which I find hysterical. Drivers will be drivers. What do you expect? It's not my fault, it's his fault. Nah. Racing, guys. That's racing. Casey, that's a racing deal. Kyle, that's a racing deal. Kyle should have watched it. Casey should have watched it. That's a spotter deal that became something else, and it got very interesting. I do want to take an opportunity, though, to tell you about something that actually caught national headlines. I was very surprised that it actually caught national headlines, but it did, so I'm going to mention it here. We had a reporter break his ankle. Yeah. A NASCAR reporter broke his ankle while interviewing Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now, Dustin Long, he's a great guy, but obviously he's a little tunnel visioned sometimes. I'm guilty of it myself, Dustin. Don't get on my case about it. I love the guy to death, but MRN reporter Dustin Long was interviewing Dale Earnhardt Jr. Pocono on Friday when a terrible accident temporarily derailed him. He actually fell on one of the scales that NASCAR uses to weigh the cars, and he broke his ankle. Long actually posted a very, very gruesome photo on his Twitter account. Earnhardt totally took the blame for the incident, saying that he led Long through the scales as a shortcut. But Long was saying, no, I wasn't paying attention. And you know what? Like the true professional that Dustin Long is, you know what he did? He literally was helped up by Dale Earnhardt Jr. and by a couple of NASCAR officials, dusted himself off, and with an extraordinarily bad limp, continued walking with Dale and finished the interview. Dude, seriously, kudos. Seriously, honestly, there's nothing more I could say about that, because that is truly, that is the definition of a professional at work. There's nothing more that I can truly say about that, because truly, he knows what he's doing. He is truly, truly somebody who absolutely will continue to be a staple in this sport. And honestly, I just wish that he hadn't have completely broken it. I wish that it would have been like a sprain or something. That way it wasn't so bad, or bruise. But unfortunately, it had to be bad. What do you know? Anyway, Dustin, seriously, get well soon, my friend. I wish you all the best. Hope that you're at home getting some rest tonight on a Monday, keeping that thing elevated and just resting. But knowing Dustin, he's probably chasing about 3 stories right now and trying to figure out how he can get around quicker. I did see that he put something on Twitter earlier. It took him all of 47 seconds to get up a flight of stairs with the whole one leg butt up the stairs without using that bad ankle. So he's in good spirits. He's a guy who always looks on the bright side of things, and he's definitely taking this in stride. And I know for a fact he's loving the fact that he made national headlines by not doing anything for the most part. It was one of those things where he literally took the interview that he was doing with Dale, and it must have been retweeted at least 100 times. It was pretty funny. He goes, "This is the interview that I broke my leg for. You should read it." I read Dustin's stuff, I really do, but I actually dropped what I was doing when I was on Twitter, stopped, and I read that piece because I thought, well, what was so damn good that he broke his ankle for it? Then I read it, and it was actually a damn good piece. I hit retweet. You can see it at the Alan Bailey on Twitter, or you could just follow Dustin at Dustin Long, MRN on Twitter as well. It was awesome. And with that, I've blown up the clock, so I'm going to go ahead and step aside here. When we get back, what are we going to talk about? This one driver, Dale Jr. Dale Jr. He won over this last weekend. What do you think we're going to talk about? That's where we're going next, right here on the Pit Pass, your personal pass for everything NASCAR.
This is ARN, the American Racing Network.
Okay, so let's say that you're trying to build a website for free on one of these website builders. You go ahead and spend hours uploading your personal information and all of the photos that you've taken of your products, only to find out that you can't bring a .com onto that website without paying a huge fee. And you can't remove those ads without paying a huge fee. And you can't remove all of those pesky "this website was built for free" buttons without paying a huge fee. By the time you've paid all these fees, you've paid thousands of dollars in order to remove all of these pesky ads. Why go through all the hassle? Why spend all of those hours doing it yourself? Go ahead and log on to ApolloAesthetics.com, not only to request a quote to build your brand new website and to see a rendering of what your website could look like, but in order to set up services like email, hosting, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram accounts, and a whole lot more. That is Apollo Aesthetics and ApolloAesthetics.com.
The odds of having a boy who grows up loving baseball,
1 in 6.
Which earns him a college scholarship,
1 in 2,500.
That gets him a contract in the minors,
1 in 3,700.
Which leads to starting shortstop in the majors,
1 in 290,000.
The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism,
1 in 150. You know the odds. Now learn the signs. Go to autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Shifting gears.
Okay, no, seriously, think about it. Who's going to dethrone Ryan Villopoto in 2015? I don't think it's going to be James Stewart. He knows what he's doing. I really don't think it's going to be Chad Reed. I got to say Ken Roczen. He had an incredible rookie season. He's having an impressive motocross season so far in 2014. I think by the time the gate drops in Anaheim in January, we're going to look at a different rider with Roczen.
Shifting gears. Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on ARN.
He sees the white flag. He sets sail for turn number 1. Brad Keselowski, 3 car lengths back.
Dale Earnhardt Jr.
snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. He's off turn number 1 for the final time, racing to the Long Pond Straight.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. maintains a 5-car length lead and wins the Pocono 400.
You got it, bud. Good job. Awesome car. Family one here. It took so long.
Live from the Pit Pass Racing Studios in Southern California, once again, Alan Bailey.
Alan, who cares about the reporter that can't see where he's going? Let's talk Junior. Hashtag I don't care, go Junior. Ouch! Dustin's cool, okay? Back off. If you're just now joining us, Dustin Long, MRN reporter, was interviewing Dale Earnhardt Jr. on Friday at Pocono when he fell off the scales that NASCAR uses to weigh the cars, broke his ankle. That's what we were talking about. But fine! We won't talk about Dustin and about how he gave his health for the story, and actually did finish the story that he was interviewing Dale about while he broke his ankle. But instead, we'll talk about Dale Earnhardt Jr. He stole one. Dale just flat out stole that win, and I'm not complaining. I'm actually really happy for the guy. But no, this Junior Nation, calm down. This doesn't mean that we can automatically say Dale Earnhardt Jr. will make the chase and he will win the championship in 2014. Because I'm not ready to say that claim about anyone in NASCAR. The reason being is because we've never seen this championship format play out. It's brand new this year. For all we know, Dale seriously could go into the very, very first race of the chase and blow an engine. And then his entire championship season, his entire season goes out the window. He's done. Because if you have one bad race in the chase, you're done. Period. There's no getting, those 10 races have to be perfect. You can't finish outside the top 15 and win this championship. It's that competitive. I'm serious. You have to finish top 5 every week in order to legitimately contend for the championship in 2014. Will Dale Earnhardt Jr. do that? I don't know. If I knew that, I'd be in Vegas right now placing that bet and not working for a living. Granted, my work is kind of awesome and I love every second of it, but that's not the point. It's seriously one of those things where it truly, we don't know. I can sit here and say yes, no, maybe so, but it's all bull. It's all lies. I don't know. I really don't. I'm not ready to call anyone in that chase until they're mathematically locked in, and that's a fact. And I'm not ready to call anyone a championship until we're at Homestead and the checkered flag has fallen and NASCAR's reviewed the videotape and everybody's okay with where they finished. God forbid we finish under caution at Homestead, because that is going to be horrendously bad for everyone. But until Homestead is over and we can actually say the 2014 season is done, no one's won this championship. Dale Earnhardt Jr., in all honesty, is having a spectacular season, the best season he's had in 10 years. 2010 is when he last won multiple races, which, oh, by the way, he won 5, which, oh, by the way, career best. He has the potential to do that again. We're fairly early in the season at this point. We're past the halfway mark of the quote-unquote regular season, which is fine. We're at the halfway mark of the regular season, really, and Dale has 2 wins. That's pretty damn respectable right there. But the fact of the matter is he could get into those last 10 races and go pull a Tony Stewart and win every other race, which probably is going to put him in serious contention for the championship. But until we get into the championship, it doesn't really matter what you do in the regular season. The fact that your team's consistent, the fact that you had good cars is all a plus, but it means absolutely nothing heading in to the chase. That's something you just realistically have to keep in mind. Now, something else that I want to talk about with Earnhardt here. Dale had a piece of debris on the front of his race car as well. Now, the crackpot wonder 3 guys in the broadcast booth will not back this up because they don't know they're not going to sit there and actually back it up and actually tell you about it, but they were so focused on Brad's bad nose job with the piece of debris on his nose that they completely overlooked the fact that Dale Earnhardt Jr. had a piece of debris on his nose as well. What was the difference? Honestly, and this is going to spark a whole discussion on Twitter, which I'm okay with, Ford versus Chevy. Ford versus Chevy is what made the difference, I believe. You look at Ford's nose opening, it's shaped differently, very differently, than Chevy's nose opening. And the curvature, the space that's open, this, I'm not just talking about this dimension-wise, but I'm also talking about the angle, the everything, the construction of the nose, the design of the nose, the pitch, everything. I'm not an engineer, so I'm not going to talk in legal jargon here, but I'm just saying you look at the nose of the car, it's different than a Ford for Chevy. Chevy is different than a Ford and vice versa. And I truly think that Ford, and having their nose issues with the design of the car, they have a new nose in 2014, I think that it's some of the similar problems that they've had in the past with just getting that nose right with debris, because Ford noses in the past have had issues with debris staying on the noses. Keselowski tried to get it off with Danica Patrick. It didn't work out for him because he was so much faster than she was, and it ultimately slowed him down, let Dale go around, and Dale, although he had the piece of debris that was extraordinarily smaller than the piece of debris that Keselowski had, he was able to hold on and actually get that win. Now, am I going to sit here and say, well, Keselowski, he shouldn't have done that move with Danica, da-da-da? No, because guess what? If he would have not attempted that move with Danica, then he probably would have blown up for sure. That was a chance that he had to take. He had to do it. He did nothing wrong there. Dale did nothing wrong there. Dale did everything right, actually, if you look at it from that standpoint. But I'm not ready to call Dale the 2014 champion yet. Frankly, I would love to see Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the championship circle at the end of the season at Homestead. Not for Dale Jr.'s sake so much, because frankly, I do really like Dale, and I think his time will come as a champion. I just don't know when, but I want to see Steve Letarte in victory lane holding up a championship trophy at the end of the season. I think it would be the perfect send-off for him as a crew chief in NASCAR, and it would be kind of the feather in his cap in his career as he steps out of the crew chief role in 2014 and in 2015 when he actually gets into the broadcast booth. I think that would be so cool for the sport as a whole and for Steve Letarte. And frankly, I want to see Steve Letarte win a championship in his final season very badly. I think it would be so cool for Stevie, for Hendrick, for everyone involved in that program. But at the same time, to whoever ends up picking up the championship, or picking up the torch, so to speak, from Steve Letarte and ends up as Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s crew chief next season, it's raising the bar incredibly high, and I like it. But you look at the chase grid right now, Dale Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, Jeff Gordon, Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, Denny Hamlin, Kurt Busch, all have wins. They're your top 10 if the chase were to start right now after 14 races of the 26. Now, Matt Kenseth, Kyle Larson, Ryan Newman, Brian Vickers, you have Greg Biffle and Austin Dillon would occupy 11th through 16th. They do not have wins at this moment. That's just something to keep in mind. That's your chase field starting right there. So you really have 6 drivers who really don't have the win, if you will. That's something to keep in mind. It really is. That number could change. It really could. Now, everybody's saying, well, I don't think we're going to see more than 16 drivers winning a race in 2014. Why not? We've seen it before. This season has been incredibly competitive so far. Incredibly competitive. Now, we've seen the same crop of drivers kind of win, but at this point of the season is when we typically see the odd, I don't want to say odd, but we see the unusual people, the unusual winners that aren't the norm. You see guys like Paul Menard, like Eric Almirola, who don't end up in victory lane every season, respectfully, end up in victory lane. Clint Bowyer, Paul Menard, Tony Stewart, Eric Almirola are 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th in championship standings right now. They're not in the chase. Tony Stewart's not in the chase. That's mind-blowing to me personally. That's something that could drastically change as we get into the summer months here, and as we're in the summer months, as I should say. That's something that could change like that. And it's something that will change, I think, very soon here. We'll keep an eye on it. I think that Stewart, honestly, is going to rattle off a win or two here. Even though he's still kind of nursing the leg, I think he's still got it in him. But we'll see what happens here. Now, we're going to go ahead, step aside. We will check out the Furious 5 from this last weekend out in Pocono and Texas. The trucks were in Texas over the weekend. Pretty cool race, actually. I like the doubleheader with NASCAR and IndyCar. I'm an IndyCar guy as well, so I really like the idea of seeing both on track in one weekend, back-to-back like that. That was very, very, very cool. But we'll go ahead and we will talk a little trucks, tailgating action, plus we'll break down a little bit more the TNT debacle and everything that happened there, plus actually talk about the silly season and the fact that Carl Edwards is talking about staying with Ford, but the only other Ford team that he realistically would go to is saying, no, we haven't talked to him. We don't want to expand. We don't have a sponsor. He's under contract. We don't want to go there. Interesting timing, and I'll tell you about little contract history with a few people who left Roush Fenway recently and the timeline of when they started talking about it. Is there something in the Roush Fenway contract that prevents drivers from talking about leaving the organization until a certain point in the season? I don't know. It seems fishy. I'm just saying. We'll go ahead. We'll step aside. Furious 5 from Pocono and from Texas coming up next. Don't go anywhere. It's the Pit Pass, your personal pass to everything NASCAR.
This is ARN, the American Racing Network.
I'm not sure if you know, but a lot of people are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if I'm speaking a foreign language to you right now, don't worry. A lot of people have trouble with it, but you should not be one of them. If you're looking to get your business online, and if you're looking to build a stronger web presence online in order to build more customers and to sell more product, log on to apolloaesthetics.com. Not only will they help build a brand new custom website for you, but they'll help set you up with Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter accounts in order to build your customer base and get your product out there for people to see. Everyone's online and everyone has a smartphone. Does that free custom website that you can build really work on an iPod or an iPad? Well, Apollo Aesthetics build websites that not only are capable of working, but work with all kinds of smartphones and mobile devices. Log on to apolloaesthetics.com not only to see all the services that they offer, but to request a quote to get your business online today. It's apolloaesthetics.com.
Army Specialist Andrew Pike became paralyzed while serving in Iraq.
My injury was a gunshot wound to the left abdomen from a sniper. My first contact with paralyzed veterans was in Walter Reed.
Paralyzed veterans, National Service Officer Michael Killen.
We try to reassure them what benefits are out there, try to educate them and take some of that stress away from them.
Right now I'm going back to school to earn a degree, and I'm just spending time with my wife and child.
You can help our paralyzed veterans. Visit pda.org.
The Furious 5!
Yeah, the Furious 5.
Furious 5, huh?
Furious 5.
It is that time again. We take a look back at the weekend that was in NASCAR with your Furious 5 right here on ARN. And it was the Cup Series that took to the Tricky Triangle in Pocono, Pennsylvania, while the Truck Series took to the Lone Star State in Texas on Friday night in what would be a doubleheader for the IndyCar and NASCAR. But in order to kick it off, we have to start with number 5.
Take a look at this as a reason for the caution. That 19 gets into the 57 of Norm Benning, and around he goes.
Wow. Tyler Reddick was running some really fast lap times, making some good time on the track, but he totally misjudged the closing rate he had on Benning and ran into the back of Norm.
And the caution has come out. Now it's for the 19. Saw contact earlier with that truck.
Straight to us.
A lot of damage on the 19 truck of Tyler Reddick. This is that contact that started all this.
Yeah, you can see Nemechek up into Mingus and then squeezes Reddick into the wall.
And number 4.
Big trouble. Long Pond straightaway. Damage for Casey Kane and others. Greg Biffle with some debris on the front of his grill, and there's Carl Edwards, two-time Pocono winner.
I I'm not sure what happened. It was getting pretty crazy out there. I mean, as it should on these restarts, and it looked like we came off of turn 2, and somehow Casey hit the wall there, but it wasn't like he just ran to the wall. There's a bunch of oil all over the track, so I couldn't miss him. I hit him in the left rear, and I'm glad he got out of the car okay, because, man, he smacked the wall so hard. So it's tough to run this whole race and then miss the most fun part, which is coming up right here. This is the good part of this race.
Number 3.
48 just got hammered by Marcus Ambrose.
Just back right over here, back into our stall, and we'll get a look at it. Come on back, come on back, come on back, come on back. Got one coming.
Oh boy. Oh, somebody took a hose with him too.
Come on back, come on back, come on back. Left side tires, guys. Left side tires. Get ready.
A lot of damage on the right front.
A lot of damage on the right front. You see the 48 car leaving the pits right here. The 9 car has already committed to his pit. Nothing can be done at that point in time. Jimmy's on full bore leaving. The 9 car's on the brakes trying to get in.
Number 2.
The final lap. Can he make it all the way through 3 and 4?
He can coast home from there, Rick. He's going to make it. He's going to make it.
Matt Crafton.
I'm talking about horse. Now that was a whooping. Thank you, boys.
How about that? Crafton winning in Texas.
My God, that's hard to just save when you have such a fast truck. I said these guys were unbelievable. It's a dream come true. Finally got me a win at Texas.
And number 1.
Brad Keselowski is off the pace, and there goes Dale Jr. The 88 is out front at Pocono with less than 5 to go.
Now, did the 2 get off the pace, or did something happen when they run up on lap traffic?
I had to do some kind of move. The car wasn't going to make it. It was already starting to blow up, and it was all I could do. But, Dale made a heck of a move, taking advantage of it.
Jr. going to try and become the 4th different Hendrick driver to win in consecutive races at Pocono off of turn 3 for the final time.
You got it, bud.
He won the season opener at Daytona. 2nd checkered flag of the year for Dale Jr. at Pocono.
Good job. Awesome car. We can have the best car, but y'all did a good job, man.
I've lost some in some strange ways, so it feels good to win one like that, and I've never won here. So I've always won. I've never been here. This is amazing, so I can mark this one off.
The Furious 5.
Yeah.
Furious 5, huh?
Furious 5.
It doesn't matter what it is, if it's got a motor and at least 2 wheels, we're covering it on ARN. From AMA Supercross and Motocross to IndyCar to NASCAR, NHRA drag racing and off-road action, we've got it all right here on the American Racing Network, your motorsports authority. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ARN Race, and visit arnrace.com for your 24/7 motorsports fix. ARN, the Motorsports Authority.
Live from the Pit Pass Racing Studios in Southern California. Once again, Alan Bailey.
So something that I want to get to, and something that was announced late last week, was the fact that NASCAR made changes to the MudSummer Classic. Now, if you're not familiar, NASCAR did this thing last year, which was utter brilliance. It's probably one of the best ideas that NASCAR's had in the last 10 years. Ever since the Chase, probably, it's been a very, very, very wise decision. I don't know how the points playoff is playing out this season, so I'm not going to say that that's a good decision either. But NASCAR made some formatting announcements. A lot of different stuff changed for the MudSummer Classic that's happening for the truck race at Eldora on July 23rd. Let's just start at the top. Qualifying. 2 laps, single truck qualifying will determine the starting position for the qualifying races with a random draw determining the qualifying order. Now, as far as the qualifying races, 5 qualifying races will be held at 10 laps each, and they will only green flag laps are counted during these 10 laps. Now, they will line up for qualifying races based on their qualifying speeds. The top 5 trucks in qualifying will start on the pole for their respected qualifying races with 4 locked-in trucks, automatically the top 20 in driver points starting each qualifying race. 5 trucks from each qualifying race will transfer to the feature. 4 will lock in, and 1 non-locked-in truck will be locked in as well. Now, upon completion of the qualifying races, 25 trucks will earn spots in the main feature event. Now, the last chance race, the lineup will be based on finishing positions from the qualifying races, and the race will be 15 laps with only green flag laps counted. The top 4 finishers from the last chance qualifier race will actually advance on to the main and start from positions 26 through 29. The 30th starting position goes to the most recent past champion. If the position is not filled by an eligible champion, it will be assigned to the next highest finishing truck of the last chance qualifying race. Owners' points will be awarded to the top 5 trucks whose trucks do not transfer into the main feature. Now, the main feature, the race will be 150 laps divided into 3 segments, 60, 50, and 40 laps with competition cautions on brakes 60 and lap 110. Now, caution laps will not count during the competition cautions. Positions cannot be improved on pit road during the competition cautions as well. Teams are not required to pit during the competition cautions. Those teams that do not elect to pit may remain on the track and start in front of the pitting teams. So essentially it is a pit stop, but at the same time, I don't know. This is reading this out loud. This is interesting, and this is directly from NASCAR. Okay, it reads for the feature 1 bullet point, and you can see it on arnrace.com under NASCAR/NASCAR. But it says right here, the second bullet point from the bottom: caution laps will not count during the competition cautions, and positions cannot be improved on pit road. The second bullet point, or the very last bullet point, the one at the very bottom that's directly underneath that one, says, quote, teams are not required to pit during the competition caution. Those teams that do not elect to pit may remain on the track and start in front of the pitting teams. What? In other words, you can't advance your position on pit road, but if you stay out, you can advance your position. Huh? I don't know. I think what it means is basically if you stay out, you can advance your position, but if you pit, and let's say you're the 4th car that pits off the racetrack, you're going to be the 4th car off a pit road, whether or not you're actually the 4th car off a pit road or not. Yeah, it gets a little confusing, but that's basically what it is. To be perfectly honest, the whole format is very convoluted, but that's dirt racing. I'm used to it, frankly, because I've watched dirt racing, but if you're not, don't worry, because basically Fox Sports 1, they're going to do an amazing job of really spreading it all out and telling you what's going on and when it's going on and everything that's going on. So chillax, don't worry, it'll be explained, okay? Something that I do want to mention here as well, Camping World Truck Series 18-year-old rookie Eric Jones actually basically ignored his high school graduation Friday night out in Michigan to basically compete in the WinStar World Casinos and Resort 400 at Texas. But he actually got a chance to actually walk in his graduation. The Texas Motor Speedway and Eddie Goshlich, who's the president out there at Texas, actually dressed him up as a high school principal, put a cap and gown on Eric, and gave him his diploma out on stage during driver introductions. If you want to see a picture of it, arnrace.com. It's actually pretty darn funny. Really darn funny, actually. Very unusual, but very cool at the same time. So go ahead and check that out if you can. Matt Crafton picking up the victory in the Texas truck race over the weekend as well, snapping a 13-year, 26-race winless streak at the Texas Motor Speedway. Very, very cool. Seriously, that's very cool. And yeah, they were running on fumes, but it doesn't matter because the trophy does say Matt Crafton, and it's his forever. That is pretty darn awesome. What we'll go ahead and do now is we'll break early here because when I get back, I want to talk about the Casey K and Kyle Busch thing, why this drama might not be over. And yes, we're going to talk about the Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle drama. Where will they end up? Where are they going? All that other good stuff. So we'll go ahead and we'll do some business here. We'll come back with all of that. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Pit Pass, your personal pass for everything NASCAR, right here on ARN.
This is ARN, the American Racing Network.
Do you have the next big idea or the next product to sell online? Don't know where to begin? Well, it's very simple. ApolloAesthetics.com. They'll not only help build your website for you, for your company, but they'll also help get you involved on social media and help get ads placed on Google. What you do is log on to ApolloAesthetics.com where you can request a quote to build your brand new website right now. They'll help set up email and hosting for you as well. That's Apollo Aesthetics and ApolloAesthetics.com.
The odds of having a boy who grows up loving baseball,
1 in 6.
which earns him a college scholarship,
1 in 2,500.
that gets him a contract in the minors,
1 in 3,700.
which leads to starting shortstop in the majors.
1 in 290,000.
The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism,
1 in 150. You know the odds. Now learn the signs. Go to autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Shifting gears.
Okay, now seriously, think about it. Who's going to dethrone Ryan Villopoto in 2015? I don't think it's going to be James Stewart. He knows what he's doing. I really don't think it's going to be Chad Reed. I got to say Ken Roczen. He had an incredible rookie season. He's having an impressive motocross season so far in 2014. I think by the time the gate drops in Anaheim in January, we're going to look at a different rider with Roczen.
Shifting gears. Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on ARN.
Another wild weekend in the Poconos at the Tricky Triangle. Let's get you wired on ARN. We start with number 5.
Thank you for a fast car. Got a lot going for us here today. All right, be safe on pit road. Have a good day. We'll work hard here. A lot of paper out here. I'm sure you tell me to close up and clean it off one last time.
Number 4.
Come here, go. Outside 2, outside. Whoa. Earl, if you see that 9-car spotter, tell him that was my fault. I apologize. I didn't realize he was coming in. I thought he was still going out.
Number 3.
Got a real good lap, 2 laps to go. I'm getting past and have to let people go. I don't give a... Okay, got a coach here on my shoulder telling me and you both use better language on the radio.
Number 2.
What's wrong with the 20? He hit the 1 car and knocked the nose in. Whatever's loose, I'm flopping all over. Just trying to go as long as we can, man. Hopefully we can get a caution. Watch your water temps.
Number 1.
Your temps, there's a big piece of debris on the front. Yep, they're hot. Pushing hard, but 6 to go. He's got a big piece of trash on his grill and a screaming temp. Really, really hot, but I don't want to give up the win. It either makes it or don't. We didn't have the best car, but y'all did a good job, man. Finally won here. It took so long.
Live from the Pit Pass Racing Studios in Southern California. Once again, Alan Bailey.
In case you didn't hear the giant earth-shattering kaboom yesterday in Pocono, Pennsylvania, Dale Earnhardt Jr. picking up his second victory of the 2014 season, the first time in 10 seasons, 10 years. 2004 was the last time that he did it, where he wins multiple victories in the same season. Big Junior Nation sigh of relief right there. Big elation from Junior Nation in the NASCAR Nation, and it truly was a sigh of relief for all Dale Earnhardt Jr. fans everywhere, and NASCAR fans as well, and reporters and media members and everything else. Very cool to see him get multiple victories in 2014. He's not done. I think he's going to get at least 1, maybe 2 more victories at the rate he's going, because he's been in the top 5, he's been near the front, but the thing is with Dale's car so far, he's always been a top 5 car. I'm liking the top 5s from Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 2014, but top 5s don't win you a championship. Not anymore. Wins get you that championship. And he took a giant step. He stole this one. This one was not his to have. It was Brad Keselowski's, but Keselowski, with debris on the nose of that car, truly biting himself right there, and it just ultimately just killed him. And I don't mean that literally, I mean in the race. Junior pouncing on him, taking advantage of it, and that's what you need to do in order to be a championship contender and to be a championship winning team. You need to take advantage of misfortunes of other drivers like that. You need to set yourself up to be prepared. That's exactly what Dale Earnhardt Jr. did this last weekend. So congratulations to Dale. I want to talk about another topic here. I want to go on another weird rant before I talk silly season, even though this kind of is silly season. Danica Patrick struggling in NASCAR. We know that. Gene Haas, her boss, a.k.a., is starting a Formula One based team in North Carolina in 2016. The question was posted to Haas on Saturday after qualifying. Well, could you actually get Danica Patrick in that car? And he said, quote, I think she would. She brings an awful lot of viewership. I think she would be great for America. I think she would be a great candidate. Whether that's going to happen or not, that's you know, think that's kind of a long shot there too. Nice little add-on right there with the that was literally what he said right there. So it's interesting to see if it actually happens. It's very interesting if Danica Patrick were to jump out of a NASCAR stock car. I think it's going to happen. She's been here for a few seasons. She's tried NASCAR. Obviously, she's not succeeding in it. I think if she were to give it a little bit more time and actually basically stick it out, I think she might be good at it. But frankly, if it's not working for you, get out. Don't waste time. You've already wasted this much time if you're Danica Patrick and you know that this whole NASCAR experiment isn't working out for you. Get out. Seriously, and just go do something that you're going to make money in and you're going to win in and being competitive in. She's not competitive at all. She was not really competitive in IndyCar towards the end of her IndyCar career there, if that's what you want to call it. So I'm not ready to say, yeah, she's done, but at the same time, I'm not saying Danica stay in NASCAR. So Danica, maybe just get out. Maybe just get out. So more silly season news here that I want to stay in touch with. That would be Carl Edwards. Carl Edwards. Carl. Where to begin with Carl? There's honestly a lot of interesting things that where I can go here with this. There truly is. I seriously, I'm sitting here thinking to myself where to go, and honestly, silly season, even though it shouldn't officially kick off, we're in the middle of it, so we're going to get stupid here. Carl Edwards is going to be leaving Roush Fenway at the end of 2014. I don't care who you are, unless you're Jack Roush and or Carl Edwards. Carl's not going to stay there. Carl knows he's not going to win a championship there. He wants to leave. He wants to win a championship and contend for races. He's not doing that in a Jack Roush Ford. Hell, Ford had to basically hand Carl a blank check in order to stay with Jack a couple of seasons ago. And now that that contract and that check is cleared and that money's already in the bank, Carl wants to go somewhere where A, they can afford him, B, they can produce competitive cars, and C, he can have a legitimate chance to win a championship. Where's that? Well, he's a Ford guy, and he wants to stay with Ford, and Ford wants him to stay with him after basically handing him that blank check 2 seasons ago. But at the same time, where's he going to go? You have two teams that run Fords that are seriously competitive in NASCAR. You have Roush, which is where he is now, or Penske. Penske has 2 cars. Could they add a 3rd car? Well, glad you're asking. You would think that that's pretty easy to do, but apparently, and yes, this is something that he did himself, Team Penske owner Roger Penske actually said that he, quote, has no interest, unquote, in Carl Edwards. Penske was at Texas for the NASCAR IndyCar doubleheader, and he flat out said, quote, there's no interest. We do not have the sponsorship to do a 3rd full-time team. He's under contract with Roush Fenway Racing. It doesn't make sense, unquote. That's what Roger said. So Carl, who was, by the way, talking about how he loved Ford and wanted to focus on his future with Ford. By the way, if you leave Roush, Penske is saying he doesn't want you or have room for you. Where are you going to end up there, Carl? Uh-oh. All signs are pointing to Joe Gibbs Racing, but honestly, Gibbs isn't that ready for a fourth team. Makes much more sense for Penske to step up and make a third team, considering they've been flirting with the idea of a third team, and they had a third team not too long ago, and they clearly have the personnel, but according to Roger Penske, they don't have the money. And yes, confirmation, more or less, from Greg Biffle and Roush sources saying that Biffle and primary sponsor 3M will actually remain at Roush Fenway Racing in 2015. Multiple sources from within Roush Fenway Racing have confirmed to both ARN, the Charlotte Observer, and other media websites that an official announcement with the contract extension for Greg Biffle and sponsor with Roush Fenway Racing could come as soon as this week or next week, according to one source. A team spokesperson said the organization would continue its policy of not commenting on drivers' contract status until an official announcement's made of the driver staying or going. Biffle was rumored to a Michael Waltrip Racing Toyota at one point in 2015. Something that's interesting, though, with the Roush cars, and keep this in mind, in 2012, word began to trickle out that Matt Kenseth was going to Joe Gibbs Racing at Sonoma, which is around the end of June. Now, Roush Fenway Racing confirmed that he was not returning on June 26th, but the Joe Gibbs Racing deal, which Kenseth had reached in at least June, but was not actually announced until September 4th, actually perhaps maybe there's some language in those Roush Fenway contracts prohibiting drivers from disclosing future moves until a certain date, maybe? So maybe Biffle and Edwards already know where they're ending up in 2015, and maybe perhaps they've already signed contracts with either the same team or a different team, respectfully, and they literally just simply can't say because of a multi-million-dollar contract that they signed years ago with Roush Fenway Racing. It's an interesting idea and an interesting theme, and it continues to unfold, and it continues to be a major, major topic of discussion. Now, as far as the 21 team in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series of the Wood Brothers is concerned, who's going to end up in that car? A lot of speculation over the weekend, but one report on Fox Sports 1 is pointing in particular to Sam Hornish Jr. behind the wheel of that number 21 Wood Brothers Ford part-time in 2014. Another interesting one, Mark Martin, who, although he has stepped away from full-time NASCAR racing and even part-time NASCAR racing, he has not been behind the wheel of a car since Homestead last year. Could we see Mark behind the wheel of maybe a Wood Brothers Ford part-time? He's a Ford guy. He has been a Ford guy for many years. It would be a homecoming of such for him. Is it something that we could see in 2015? I don't know. We'll keep an eye on this. And as far as sponsor/car maneuvers and switches, no word as of yet on what exactly Richard Petty Motorsports will be running in 2015. No decision has been made as of yet. That's your silly season update on ARN. So lots of stuff that's kind of floating up in the air. Again, this is called silly season for a reason. It gets silly, it gets wacky, it gets damn right stupid at most times, but what are you going to do? Ultimately, just kind of grit your teeth and get through it, because things do get wacky, they do get crazy, and they do get absolutely nutty at some points of the season. But ultimately, what can you do? Just basically power on through the wackiness and keep on going. On that note, that is the show for today. This weekend, oh yeah, by the way, you can check out the Gateway race. It's the Gateway 250 Truck Series. It's the Alliance Truck Parts 250 at Michigan and the Quicken Loans 400 at Michigan for the Cup Series on Sunday. Triple header weekend at Michigan and at Gateway. Catch the preview on Shifting Gears on Wednesday at 7 p.m. here on ARN. For everybody here at the American Racing Network and the Pit Pass, I'm Alan Bailey. We'll see ya at the track.
1,000ths of a second he beat Boyd. We're going head to head. Can you handle it? I'm bleeding till the last man standing. We're going head to head. Can you handle it? I'm taking you down. I'm the last man standing. We're going head to head. Can you handle it? I'm taking you down. I'm the last man standing. We're going head to head. Can you handle it? I'm bleeding till the last man standing. We're going head to head. Can you handle it? I'm taking you down. I'm the last man standing. I'm the last man standing. I'm the last man standing.
Broadcasting from the ARN Racing Studios in Southern California, ARN, Los Angeles. This is ARN, the American Racing Network.